Okay guys, I'm making a video here on grinding chum, and I used to do a lot of blue fishing, like 90% blue fishing, and you use chum. So I got tired of buying it. I don't even know what it costs now for a 5-gallon bucket. It's probably like 30-40 bucks. So I had a hand grinder, and if you ever ground by hand, it's a lot of cranking. So I said, let me try to motorize it. So I picked up this old motor and gearbox. It was some kind of a dye pump or something in the factory that wasn't being used. So I brought it home. It was already on this base, and I had these pieces welded up here. That's where the grinder sits. And what I have is a grinder. This is an old grinder. They still sell them, actually. You could buy a newer one, and they're very inexpensive. This is a number 10. And I tried mounting a new one up to this, but I didn't like the way it fit. And I had cut the shaft off of this because I needed the coupling that was on here for the new grinder. So I cut the shaft off because I couldn't pull the coupling. And I didn't like the new grinder, so I was left with an old grinder without a shaft. So what I did was I drilled and tapped the shaft for the auger, the screw auger. I drilled and tapped it, and I got, I believe it's a 1/2-inch bolt, and I threaded the shaft, and I Loctited this bolt in there. And I bought this coupling on eBay. I think I paid 20 bucks for the coupling, 1/2-inch, and I Loctited that onto the bolt. So that lines up with this coupling here, which the motor will turn this coupling. So to mount it, you just simply put it on the pieces that I welded, engage the coupling, and tighten down this clamp here to hold it on to the frame. Tighten it relatively tight. And this is your screen wipe. Now this screen, as you can see, I modified it. I drilled openings in because with the existing hole pattern, okay, it was a smaller hole pattern and I only had one screen. So with that pattern, it was plugging up all the time with scales and parts of the head. I grind the whole rack up when I grind it, and it was plugging. So I drilled this out, and it don't plug no more. So a little modification like that worked out really good. So that goes in there, and then your nut goes on. Now this is a little rusty, you know, it lays outside sometime, and it rusted up a little bit. So that's the setup. I'll give you a look from over here. You have the drive coupling, the gearbox, and the motor. Some people drive off a motor, they put a pulley on there, but you know, this has so much power with the reduction of the motor that this very rarely stops. Sometimes it gets jammed up and the motor stops because it's only a fractional horsepower, but I usually feed it to where, you know, I try to avoid that. So this is the setup, and we're going to grind some chum later. I like the racks semi-frozen when I grind. They seem to go through the grinder a lot better semi-frozen. Okay.